This morning, many people woke up to find their cell phones were not working. There are major outages across this country. It seems that it's mostly affecting AT&T customers, and it may be a whole lot of nothing. Don't know for sure. There is some speculation that it could possibly be a cyber attack. That may be, but maybe doesn't mean a whole lot. I think there's a strong possibility this is some kind of cyber attack, but whether it's a nation state or something else, I don't entirely know. What we do know is that it's not just cell phones. It appears, according to downdetector.com, it's way more than just cell phones, which is kind of weird. Because the first thing that happens when I wake up this morning is, every day I wake up, I grab my phone right away and I say, let's read the news because something happened while I was asleep. Sure enough, it did. Cell phones are down. iPhones are stuck in SOS mode. And as you can see here from Down Detector's image posted by the Daily Mail, AT&T, Cricket, FirstNet, Verizon, T-Mobile, US Cellular, Consumer Cellular, all experiencing major outages. And so I went to downdetector.com and checked, and there's a whole bunch of other companies and providers, even Starlink, reporting major outages around the exact same time, which I feel like is evidence of a potential cyber attack. Now, it's hard to know for sure. It may really just come down to something as stupid simple as there is a shared network asset that all of these companies have that broke, resulting in a widespread outage among them. So let's say AT&T and all these cell phone providers use a particular plugin or third-party data, like a data center or asset, to route information or something like that. It goes down. You'll see all these companies get hit. Don't know for sure. A lot of people are pushing the speculation based on rumors. It could be an attack on this country. Here's what I want to say about that first before we get into all the finer details about what's going on, because this is more serious than just cell phones. Cyber attacks don't need to be violent explosions, triggering an oil plant to just blow up or something. They could be, but they don't need to be. In modern warfare, economics is a major vector of attack. If this is a cyber attack, it is masterful. What you do when you shut down the internet is you disrupt economics and you slow growth. Communications may be one of the most important tools in modern warfare. I look back at these old war films and I read history, and especially the Civil War. As most of you know, I love reading about the Civil War. And there are many instances throughout history where communication was the reason for failure. A guy, he's on the other side of this mountain and they don't know what to do and they can't hear or see. And then when he comes in, he gets ambushed. And if only they had radio. When radio comes in, they start saying things like, here's where the group is. Here's the target. Do not go here, go here. And it changes the whole game. More importantly, outside of warfare, I don't think anybody in the United States is using their AT&T cell phone to coordinate, violent assaults on the enemy. But it is how things are produced. So if there is an effort within the United States to, make weapons, which there is, and the regular little old people who have to make phone calls to facilitate their industry can't do it, you slow growth and development. You hinder the American economy, you hinder American influence, and you hinder the ability to coordinate weapons manufacturing. And look, some people might say, no, Tim, our defense infrastructure is resilient and they have alternate means of communication. I'm not even talking about a guy who works for a military industrial contractor who might have a secure, double backed up satellite phone or whatever. I'm talking about an accountant who handles payment processing for employees at like a plastics firm or something that happens to make this very basic component, which these companies might use for parts of their vehicles. And so, sure, the most important element of these manufacturers, these weapons manufacturers, can be in communication. But if the accountant can't call in and correct errors, or the internet disruption results in pay being paused, then people go, hey, I didn't get my paycheck. And instead of doing work, you've got an HR disaster. No, I know. Many people are like, what, really? Like, listen, taking time away from American industry, this is the game of attrition. If China, Russia, or any other adversary, North Korea even, can put a stop to slow or whatever American development of resources, planning, strategy, etc., even if it's 0.01%, that is an advantage for them. Let me read the news and we'll talk about what's going on. The first thing I want to do is show you Down Detector so you can get an understanding of exactly what's going on. Everybody, of course, is saying that, this is a cell phone outage. And so the first thing I did was I said, okay, let's go to Down Detector to figure out exactly what's going on. AT&T, Cricket, Verizon, Consumer Cellular, T-Mobile, Boost Mobile. My phone's working just fine, by the way. Here, we're in the DC area. US Cellular, Straight Talk, First Net appeared to go down, but apparently is now working. It's going down. Take a look at this. Reddit, Google, WebOS, Boost Infinite, TrackPhone, Apple Support, Bandwidth, Spectrum, Infinity, Mint Mobile, X seems stable, makes sense. Metro, Facebook, Net10 Wireless, Microsoft Teams, Google Fiber, Cox. Okay. Starlink. Starlink is what makes me question this. iNet. We are seeing an increase in all of these networks going down. Instagram seems fine. Microsoft 365 seems to have a problem. Metronet seems fine. Samsung's having problems. YouTube seems fine. Here's what I think. I think this is more than just a cell phone issue. There's a strong possibility they'll come out in 10 minutes, who knows, after you watch this and say, this was a shared, network provider, a contractor that was used by all these companies that suffered a power outage and it affected everybody. Maybe, but Starlink? That's when I'm like, okay, hold on. My understanding with Down Detector is that it's a combination of tracking. So you can type in which service is down and add to the conversation. But then we start seeing that many other, companies are having some kind of issue. Starlink outages reported in the last 24 hours. Look at this. It's not the most, but there is a major spike. 42. Interesting. And we're seeing it, a bunch of different companies. Google Fiber? Google Fiber is looking at a bunch of outages spiking around the exact same time. Now, if you came to me and said, well, of course, people are saying Facebook's down. Their phones aren't working, so they think Facebook is down. You can't report it to Down Detector if your phone don't work, right? And if you're on your computer with internet, you go to Facebook, you realize it's not down. This is something else. And Fiber and Starlink are providers. So what could this be? Well, Down Detector says it's the world's most popular platform for online service status information, attracting hundreds of millions of users who wish to understand the status of their internet connection, mobile network, online banking, gaming, entertainment, and other online services. By analyzing tens of millions of monthly problem reports, Down Detector offers real-time status information for 12,000 services across 47 websites representing 47 countries. The page explains how Down Detector aggregates and analyzes the data to determine the service provider's customers experience problems, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So it's not just that people are reporting problems. The company itself is taking a look at these, and they have a live outage map. This says to me, it's more than just cell phones. But I think the reason why the press is picking up on the cell phone story is because that's what people are experiencing. That's what they are seeing. The most important story now is, why did your phone stop working? But why is Starlink down? That is a satellite internet provider. Why is Google Fiber down? First thing I'll say, before we get into any arguments about cyber war or cyber attacks, is, for the third time, shared third-party service provider of some sort between all of these companies. Starlink, Google, AT&T, all these companies, they're in the telecommunications, may have run into a snag with the same thing. It could be one company that handles a security issue, or who knows, and their power went out. That being said, I think that is very unlikely. And the reason why I think that's unlikely, it would be a huge point of attack if that were the case. If all these companies were dependent upon like one third-party service, that would mean the internet could be taken down with a 14-year-old could hack into a system and shut down the internet. That doesn't seem likely, but hey, who knows? Daily Mail reports, and the numbers increased, by the way. AT&T outages being reported 74,000. So I want to make sure this is clear. Another reason why they're probably talking about cell phones is, when you look at T-Mobile, you got 2,000 reported outages. When you look at AT&T, you've got 74,000. Massive. And of course, when you look at like Google Fiber, it's 58. Going up, however, as time goes on. Perhaps it could be that people are just now waking up and seeing this. I don't even know. iNet, what are they reporting? 42? There's a major spike. This is crazy. I have no idea what could be causing this. DoorDash even. What else do we have? Simple, C-Spire, AWS seems fine as a tiny little blip, but not really. This seems, I don't know, bandwidth.com. Like, what is bandwidth.com? I don't even know what that is. Internet and telephone services for the professional market. 64 outages. The Daily Mail reports In a statement, the company said some of our customers are experiencing wireless service interruptions this morning. We are working urgently to restore service to them. We encourage the use of Wi-Fi calling until service is restored. The spike in outages occurred around 4 a.m. Eastern and also affected some customers with Verizon, T-Mobile, and U.S. Cellular. The large number of issues reported at AT&T, which spiked at 31,000 by 4:30 a.m. and then jumped to 51,000. It's very obvious why that number started at 31,000 and is climbing. Because people were asleep. They are waking up and now finding out that their phones don't work. Cricket, which is also part of an AT&T, also had reports. Service disruptions have been reported in New York, Boston, Washington, Montreal, Honolulu, Atlanta, Houston, Dallas, LA, Seattle, and San Francisco. Nationwide, 911 operators have warned the outages impacted their ability to take calls. SF Fire Department issued a statement saying they had been made aware of the issue and urged citizens to try and use calling from a landline. All right. Cyber attack? Maybe. Let's talk about it. CNN has reported in December, major cyber attack on Ukrainian mobile operator disrupts banking services and air raid sirens. Interesting. Communications, very powerful. Taking them away, very powerful. From the AP. Biden is boosting cybersecurity at U.S. ports where online attacks can be more ravaging than storms. Now, I don't think this is related, but this is news from yesterday that Joe Biden signed an executive order to create a federal rule aimed at better securing the nation's ports from potential cyber attacks. So cyber attacks are certainly in the news, but I don't know that this is related in any way. From SC Magazine, in the evolving cyber war, China aims to take down our critical infrastructure. And this is from a week ago. So perhaps, I honestly can't tell you, but I can tell you that every single day you Google search World War III, you will find an article about World War III potentially coming. Now let's talk about the importance of communications, and I'll tell you a story. When I was 16, I was in Chicago, and I was at, this would have been 60th, or was it 63rd? I think it was 60, might have been 60th. 60th and Narragansett. That is the intersection. Feel free to look it up on Google Maps. And I was waiting for a bus to take me to the skate park. As I was standing at the bus stop, an elderly woman just flipped onto her back and started convulsing. And for about 5 seconds, I was in like a state of shock. Like I had no idea what was happening, what to do. And I looked around like, what am I supposed to do? I had no cell phone. I'm saying this 22 years ago. There was a bank right there. I ran in and there was a guy speaking with some people. And then I'm like, I don't know what to do. And I just yelled and they were like, hold on a second. I was like, no, there's a woman. She's like passed out. Call 911. Here's why this story matters in this context. They say that violent crime is on the decline. And the reason for it is that there's less homicides today than there's ever been. Not like everywhere, but homicides have been on the decline. The reality is homicides have not been on the decline. I mean, that they have in a certain context. Don't get me wrong. But it's an illusion created by cell phone technology. See, back in the day when this happened, if I were to be standing on a street corner today and I saw an elderly person flip over, I would grab my cell phone instantly and dial 911. Within a split second, I have told the paramedics exactly where I am and exactly what's going on. 20 years ago, it took, 2 or 3 minutes. I had to run from the corner of the intersection to the building. It wasn't that far away, but, it takes 15, 20 seconds to get to the building. I had to yell, call 911, a woman's injured. They don't know what's going on, so they don't even know what to tell the operator because they can't see. So even if they do call 911, they're going to say, someone just came in and said a woman's hurt. I don't know. Here's our address. The paramedics now have no idea what to expect when they get there. Whereas with the cell phone, I say, elderly woman, looks like she's 65, flipped onto her back. I think she's convulsing. And they can say, here's what you need to do right now to keep her alive. What ended up happening was, with a lot of crime, someone would get shot. They, being shot, would call 911 and say, I was shot. Here I am. Here's what's happening. And the person could say, you need to do this. So in the instance that someone was suffered, I always bring this one up, a sucking chest wound, because it's crazy how you can die so quickly and there's a really simple fix to prevent you from dying. And that's what freaks me out. That a sentence could save a life. A sentence, if you only knew. Back in the day, 20 years ago, someone gets stabbed in a robbery in the chest, creating a sucking chest wound. And within 2 minutes, they drop dead. They run to a building and say, please call 911. I've been stabbed. And then the person says, okay. And then the person drops dead. Today, with your cell phone, you get stabbed. You call 911 and say they stabbed me in the chest. Say, sir, you need to seal that now or you will die in a minute. And quite possibly, I've heard a lot of things. I'm not going to pretend to be a medical expert, but people have said, like, put a credit card over it. Take a flat piece of plastic or whatever you have and press it as hard as you can against the wound. Because what happens is when you get a sucking chest wound, a cavity forms where when you try to breathe in, your lungs aren't actually moving air anymore because there's no pressure differential. And so you feel like you're breathing, your chest is expanding, but air isn't coming in and out. So you're asphyxiating and then you die. If you stop it, you can actually breathe. I'm not, seriously, talk to a medical expert about this because, I only understand this from I did hospital environment first aid training, and they explained to us taking a piece of plastic and taping it on 3 sides and things like that, but plugging the hole, stopping it until the max can arrive. My point is simply this. That simple basic information is the barrier between life and death. When cell phones became ubiquitous, murder dropped. Why? Because crime was still happening, but people could report it more quickly and paramedics could get on scene. The first thing that will happen if a major war were to break out is exactly this. That's why this news is so dang important and interesting. I was talking to, who was, oh man, why am I forgetting his name? We just had him on Culture War. Eric Prince. Why did that name escape me? And I asked him, he's a guy who many people would view as controversial, but has experience with a lot of countries that have been destabilized with crazy things happening. And I asked him, with what's going on in the United States, do you see parallels to other countries? His response, the one thing that he said, the one thing that everybody who's experienced a collapse of a nation has said is that it happens overnight. One day everything's normal, and then you wake up and the power's out. You wake up and the phones don't work. You wake up and there's no internet. Surprise, surprise, ladies and gentlemen. We wake up today and the phones don't work. Now, my phone was fine. I woke up and I grabbed my phone and I had no issues. I wasn't on Wi-Fi. I was on cell network and I'm on T-Mobile and that's mostly fine. But it does freak people out. That all being said, I think the likelihood here is, as I've said now for the 4th time, is calm down, everybody. It's probably something really dumb. It's probably like some intern at a data center tripped over a cable and spilled his coffee on a computer or something. And now all of a sudden, a bunch of people's phones don't work. If this really was something more serious, I don't think it would be affecting 80,000 people. Also, important to add, that's just the people who are saying it's happening and issuing these reports. As people begin to wake up, the reports get worse and worse and worse. So it's hard to know for sure. What I can tell you is, we're at war. Putin pal threatens Armageddon nuclear attack on DC and London if Russia has to give back any Ukraine territory. Holy crap. Dude, I hope you all have some emergency food or something, because I can't tell you where this all goes. I don't know if World War III starts, but man, they are saber rattling something fierce. A nuclear attack on DC and London. Oh, they've escalated it. Mutually assured destruction, I guess. Russia's not going to back down. Mike Pompeo and many others, they're saying, we got to win in Ukraine. Chuck Schumer says, we have to win this war. We? What do you mean we? Oh, that's right. The U.S. does have boots on the ground in Ukraine. And no, but it's not troops, just special forces. Shut up. It's boots on the ground. That's what it means. When did we declare war on Russia? The deep state did, and they're going to drag all of us to hell. And what's going to happen? My friends, you will wake up one day with no electricity. What will you do? The first thing I can say is if your power is out, most of you know, don't open the fridge. Whatever is still inside that fridge in terms of, you want to keep that temperature stable. The more you open it, the more you let warm air in and put your perishables at risk. So only open the fridge if you absolutely have to. That's like number one. Did you fill up your bathtub with water? That's one thing they say you're supposed to do. Because what's your bathtub gonna hold? 50 gallons, maybe more than that. I think it's more than that, actually. Let's make sure we get the average capacity of bathtub. What is it? 70 gallons. A little bit better. It's a lot of water. And they say a person needs a gallon of water every day for a variety of uses. Cooking food, drinking, of course. What do you do if the water stops flowing, especially if you're in a major city? Look, with the news that we've got right now about conflict and crisis in the United States, let alone World War III, I think it's important that all of you are paying attention to what's going on and you have backup plans. I don't know why we're seeing Starlink reportedly going down. That's freaky. That's low orbit satellite. Maybe it's a cyber attack. I don't know. But Starlink is used around the world and Russia's none too happy about it. The left accuses Elon Musk of helping Russia because he wouldn't give, Ukraine the ability to use them as weapons or something like this. I don't know. But I hope you guys are paying attention enough to understand you need a plan. I'm not saying the world ends tomorrow. I'm not saying it even ends at all. But sometimes it rains. If a storm hits and the power goes out and you have no communications, you have no electricity, you have no food, what are you going to do? Hey, chance favors the prepared. That's the saying. So we'll see where this goes. I have a strong inclination they're going to come back and say that an intern tripped on a cable and spilled his coffee. Seriously. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.